Hello, we'll be having lesson 4, subject and content of arts. After completing this lesson, you're expected to differentiate representational art and non-representational art, discuss the difference between an artwork subject and its content, identify the subject matter and content of specific examples of art, and enumerate the sources of the subjects of some of the most recognizable works of an art in Philippine art history. Hello there! Did you know that in viewing art, there are clues that mediate between the artwork and the viewer, allowing the viewer to more easily comprehend what he or she is seeing? Okay, now let's get to find these clues. Let's have a warm up activity. Look at the painting below by the artist David Bailey entitled Sal's Bill Bildnis Smith Vanita Symbolem. Oh, that was hard to pronounce. All right. Or it means self portrait with Vanita symbol. Okay. List down everything you see within the four corners of the work. List as many items as you can. All right. Let's get to see it. This one. This is the painting. Oh, from that alone, what could you see? Oh, it's obvious to have a skull. We have a skull here. We also have books, letters. We have flower vase. What do you think? Are these flowers still alive or about to be dead? Right. And we have some coins here. I'm not very sure if it is a coin. Then we have candle. We have, I guess this is wine. I'm not sure too. This could be oil. All right. And we could have this. I don't know. Is this perfume? I'm not sure too. Maybe. And we could have this jewelry, this pearl necklace. We could have sculpture of a human being. And then we could have this stick. We could have this one an hourglass. Mm, and of course, this one, this person. All right. So now analyze the items you had listed. Write your assumptions about what the painting means. Okay. The Vanitas painting contains collections of objects symbolic of the inevitability of death and the transience and vanity of earthly achievements and pleasures. It exhorts the viewer to consider mortality and to repent. The Vanitas evolved from simple pictures of skulls and other symbols of death and transience frequently painted on the reverse sides of portraits during the late Renaissance. It had acquired an independent status and became a popular genre. Its development until its decline about 1650 was centered in Leiden in the United Provinces of the Netherlands, an important seat of Calvinism, which emphasized humanity's total depravity and advanced a rigid moral code. Okay, so from that alone, from what we see in an artwork, could definitely tell us what the artwork uh, is or what the artwork is trying to convey. But then again, some of the uh, you know this could only be a symbolism toward something, like you could see skull. Skull means death, and we have there an hourglass to tell us about time, and we have candle and many more that could tell about death, mortality. Okay, so now in viewing art, there are clues that mediate between the artwork and the viewer, allowing the viewer to easily comprehend what he or she is seeing. All right. Now, these clues are the three basic components of a work of art. Let's get to see these clues. We have first one, we have the subject. Remember? Subject. Subject is the visual focus of or the image that may be extracted by examining the artwork. Just remember, a subject is only a visual focus on what you see on the artwork itself, because it only talks about visual focus, and it could be answered by questioning or by asking what's there, what's in there, or you could examine an artwork based on the what. This refers to the main idea that is represented in the artwork. The subject in art is basically the essence of the piece. To determine subject matter in a particular piece of art, you could ask yourself, what is actually depicted in this artwork? So, upon looking at its visual focus, you may be asking now then, what is depicted in the artwork? So, whenever we tend to question this, what is depicted in this visual artwork? Now, we are about to dig deeper on its visual focus. So, we will now have its right. We will now have its next clue. Let's just wait. It's hanging. Okay. Let's have the next clue. We have the content. Okay, what is content? It is the meaning that is being communicated by the artist or the work. This answers the questions why. This is the meaning being communicated. Just remember that. Earlier, we have the subject, the visual focus. Subject is only what you visually see on a piece of an artwork, and content is the meaning being communicated. And it asks the question, why? This refers to what is being depicted and might be helpful in deriving a basic meaning. It appears in the visual arts in several forms, all of which may be figurative or realistic or abstract or distorted. Among them are portraits, landscapes, still lifes, genre art, and narrative art. So we could have this one upon looking at that painting. So Upon looking at its visual focus or its subject, we could now ask its content. Why is it like that? Why is there? Okay, let's just tend to analyze it. So, visual focus first. You could see some chaos there, like something is something's wrong is happening. Like this boat is being oh, there's water there, water flashes, and you could see some people there. This could just mean maybe it's about the daily lives of these people. But upon looking at it, you could see poverty or some sort of chaos is being depicted in it. So we could see it's the content. All right, so we could have this one more. All right, now let's have the form. Another clue to consider aside from the subject and content, we also have form. It is the development and the configuration of the artwork, how the elements and the medium are put together. So it asks the questions how. So it's about the geometric forms, like shape. Alright. Shapes could tell something too. Okay, this connotes something that is three-dimensional and encloses volume, having length, width, and height, versus shape, which is two-dimensional or flat. A form is a shape in three dimensions, and like shapes, can be geometric or organic. So have this. You could see some artwork are being shaped accordingly. Like they could choose any of those geometric forms. Okay. Now let's have the type of subject. What is subject again? Subject is the visual focus of an artwork. Okay. Now let's have this representational art and non-representational art, and we could also have an abstract art. Okay. So let's have this one first, the representational art. These types of art have subjects that refer to objects or events occurring in the real world. Often, it is also called a figurative art because, as the name suggests, the figures depicted are easy to make out and decipher. Portraits such as the Mona Lisa are good examples of representational art. So, remember, a representational art is also called a figurative art. Representational art is something that is real, something, the images there, or an artwork that could tell or that could support or that could occur in the real world. So, Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa is a girl or a woman or a lady, and ladies, women, actually exist in the real world. So, this painting is an example of representational art because this portrays something that is real and is occurring in the real world. So, representational art is very easy to decipher because it's just something that occur in the real world. something that is present in the world. So let's proceed to the next one. We have the non-representational art. Look at this painting. Seems to be chaos and messy. These are arts that does not make a reference to the real world. So remember, does not make a reference to the real world, whether it is a person, place, thing, or even a particular event. It is stripped down to visual elements such as shapes, lines, and colors that are employed to translate a particular feeling, emotion, and even concept. So, upon looking at the painting, this one by Jackson Pollock, you can just see something that is messy. It looks to be chaotic. So you could see in that it doesn't have a reference to the real world. That's just that is just splashes of paintings of colors that has been mixed together or just has been uh, flashed on. Bagalay ng pinanhuwad na painting or na colors. Yeah. So, namo na nahimo na inin. So, in this kind of painting or an artwork, uh, it doesn't it doesn't portray anything, but it could employ or it could translate some particular feeling. Like upon looking at that artwork, you could feel. I don't know if you feel the same, but I feel I see sadness or I feel sadness in that because, as I told you, I found it to be messy. So whenever something is messy, I just have this connotation, or we have this connotation that it portrays or it evokes a feeling of sadness because it's messy. It's not organized. So I felt sad on the painting and I felt some disorganized or I felt that I'm detached from something because I couldn't understand it, paint the visual image. I couldn't understand, I couldn't comprehend it. So I just have the feeling of being sad to it. All right, so this is an example of a non representational art. This is not abstract. Okay. So this one, we have this non-representational art in abstract art. Is non-representational art the same with abstract art? I have already mentioned, or I have already said earlier that uh, non-representational art and abstract it's somehow different. There is no clear-cut divide; rather, they exist in a spectrum. Okay, so look at this one. There's no cat divide. Okay, let's consider this one. Looking at the combination of lines, shapes, and colors of this work will point to a head of a woman. You could see by just the combinations of lines, shapes, and colors, you could tell this is a head of the woman. So I could say that it's a distortion of an image of a head of a woman. But even with the abstraction of the image, this work is arguably representational art. Even if it is distorted or abstracted, because you could say this is an abstract art because abstract art is a distortion of something. But then again, uh, some people or some artists are questioning this and claiming to be representational art because head of a woman or a woman actually exists in reality. But some are questioning it that it is abstract because as you see this one, this is a distortion of an image of a head of a woman. So bagat may daniya slight na ginguba or ginpa-OA and head of a woman. So amo na ito niya na some people are questioning it to be representational art or abstract art. But remember that there's no clear cat divide, rather they exist in spectrum. So here it is. There's really no cat divide between non-representational art, abstract art, and representational art. Okay. So this could be a representational art, and this could also be an abstract. Okay. Now let's proceed to the sources and kinds of subject. For non-representational art, a higher level of perspectiveness and insight might be required to fully grasp the feeling, emotion, or concept behind the work. For representational art, it is easier to infer the subject matter because from the figures depicted in the artwork, there is already a suggestion as to its implication. Okay, so remember that to understand a non-representational art, because it's just look like to be messy, distorted. Oh no, not distorted, but it's messy, unorganized, or anything. That's just a combination of colors or splashes of colors. Then you need to have a high level of perspectiveness and insight in order for you to fully grasp the feeling, emotion, or concept behind the work. And then for representational art, it's just very easy to infer the subject matter because it's just being showed on the figures depicted in the artwork. There is already a suggestion as to its implication. All right. Now let's have the sources of subject. Could have nature, history, Greek and Roman mythology. Could be sources of subject. And we could have this one, Judeo and Christian tradition, sacred Oriental texts, and other works of art. And we could have the kinds of subject like this one for history. This one, still life. Could also have animals. And we have figures, nature, landscape, and seascape, cityscape, mythology, and myth, dreams, fantasies. All right. Now let's have this. Some of the famous work of arts. Just look at these paintings, these artworks. Okay, some of you may recognize some of these. Okay, this one. Oh, we have this one. This is very famous. This one. Hmm, and this one, Colobus. We have the Sistine Chapel. This is very famous by Michelangelo. And we have this. All right. Some of you might recognize this one, but there could be a lot more to this. Okay, now let's proceed to the content in art. Let's remember the content in art is the meaning or message that is expressed or communicated by the artwork. In understanding the content of art, it is important to note that there are various levels of meaning. So, your perception might be different from the others. So, it's safe to not impose our own understanding towards the other. If the other sees the artwork different from yours, then we might respect each other's opinion, because you know that every artwork could have a various level of meaning. Otherwise, the artist itself told or tell us or explained the meaning itself, because could be the only the artist's interpretation of his work could be the final say. Okay, now let's have this. We have the factual meaning. The most rudimentary level of meaning, where it may be extracted from the identifiable or recognizable forms in the artwork, in understanding how these elements relate to one another. And we have the conventional meaning. This pertains to the acknowledged interpretation of the artwork using motifs, signs, symbols, and other ciphers spaces of its meaning. And then we have this. These conventions are established through time, strengthened by recurrent use and wide acceptance by its viewers or audience and scholars who study them. And we have the subjective meaning, a variety of meaning that arise when a particular art is read. These meanings stem from the viewer's circumstances that come into play when engaging with art, and the meaning may not be singular, rather multiple and foreign, because it's subjective. Okay. Now this one. Observe this painting. This is the creation of Adam from the ceiling of Sistine Chapel by Michelangelo in 1814. Alright, let's consider that one. Okay. Now here is the analysis of this painting. The subject is biblical art. You know, you could see cat here reaching Adam's hand. Maybe we could say that 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 as a human being, or whether we have sinned highly, we are still God are still being able to forgive us as long as we reach for Him. We could have that meaning. This is biblical art. And for the factual meaning, this is creation. We could say the creation history, or this one, that God creates the human beings, that God created Adam and Eve. And then this one, conventional meaning, man was created in the image and likeness of God. And for subjective meaning, endowment of intellect to man from cat. But you can have more to it, to the subjective meaning. Like as I told you, you could have this one, God. Oh, God is reaching for Adam because Adam is repenting his sins towards him. You could say that way too, but this could also be an endowment of the intellect to one from God. All right. Could have any interpretation towards its subjective meaning. Okay, and now it ends our lesson 4. Okay, thank you.